Welcome to Mickey, Marvel, and More. Disney news, commentary, and opinion. From theme parks to Thanos and from Skywalker to Skyliner, my family and I will discuss it all. So let's go.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hello, Mark here, and welcome to a very special episode of Mickey, Marvel, and More. Why is it very special? Because we are in Walt Disney World and you are with us. We're going to be doing a very special trip report. Normally we will come back after a trip and do a sit down around the virtual table and the family will sit down and talk about all the places we ate and things that we did. But this time we're going to record while we're here. So it's going to be really more of a travel log style trip report, really more of a journal. So we're going to let you know things as we do them and talk about things as we do them or after we do them. So hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun and you're going to come along with us. So if you've ever wanted to be on a Walt Disney World vacation with us, now's your chance. So stick around for the rest of the episode and enjoy some Walt Disney World talk.
Is this haunted room actually stretching? Or is it your imagination? And consider this dismaying observation. This chamber has no windows and no doors.
So we've been spending the morning in the Magic Kingdom, and touringplans.com had the crowd level at a 5. And I think that's about right. If you guys don't know what touringplans.com is, you're missing out. There's all kinds of good information there for wait times and information about crowd levels and all that kind of stuff. It's a fee, but if you travel to Walt Disney World a lot, touringplans.com is definitely a good place to use. But they've had today as a level 5, and I feel like it's a level 5. What do you think?
I would agree. I think crowd level calendars are really helpful. Touringplans.com, of course, has one, but there are some others that do also. And I think it's really helpful to check the crowd level before you head out to the park, just so you have an expectation of how crowded it's going to be. I think contrary to conventional wisdom, Magic Kingdom is not as crowded on the weekends as everyone thinks it will be. So the weekend is actually a pretty good time to come to the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, your most crowded park on average is going to be Hollywood Studios. But for those who are uninitiated, this is on a scale of 1 to 10. I feel like just saying crowd level of 5 with no context isn't helpful.
Fair. And just so you know, we've got the core 4 here today. It's myself, Laura, Zachary, and Parker. But I think Parker is probably going to remain mostly silent or mute. But we'll see. He might have something to add. We just wrapped up lunch here at Columbia Harbor House, and that brought something to my mind that I wanted to talk about. You know, for years and years, it was the old wives' tale that theme park food is never good. It's always hot dogs, pizza, hamburgers, and for the most part, up until about 4 years ago, that wasn't necessarily true about the Disney theme parks. The Magic Kingdom had a lot of good places to eat and things to choose from if you knew where to look and what to order. But since the pandemic, they've made a lot of changes to their menus, and they've removed a lot of really interesting items and kind of replaced it with your generic theme park fare. And we feel like that the counter service restaurants at the Magic Kingdom have really gone downhill. What do you think, kid?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in terms of variety of offerings, now what you still get is good, and I think good for theme park food, certainly. But there's only so many hot dogs you can eat. There's only so many hamburgers you can eat. There's only so many times you can order chicken nuggets.
Right.
And you really want something else that's interesting and good. And that's one of the reasons why we came to Columbia Harbor House today for lunch, because they do have some offerings that are a little bit different.
Do you agree with this, Zach? Do you think that the Magic Kingdom counter service restaurants have kind of declined in at least not necessarily the food quality, but just what they have available?
It's not just what they have available. I think some of it is legitimately food quality as well.
Yeah.
For example, we were big fans of Pecos Bills for most of my
For
existence. And then they switched the menu to Tex-Mex, and you would think that they would do that very well, but then they didn't, and it's just bad and wet and gross and weird. It's weird and bad. And I just think of the 4 theme parks, Magic Kingdom, which, is supposed to be their headliner, is kind of far and away the worst for the food you can get at the parks. I think the sit-downs are still okay. I don't think they're too bad.
Yeah, the Be Our Guest.
Skipper Canteen.
Skipper Canteen is very good.
Liberty Tree Tavern,
Liberty Tree Tavern.
Tony's Town
Yep.
Square.
Yeah, they're all solid.
yeah.
They're all solid enough. It's just the quick service, which is what you're going to be getting most of the time.
For sure.
It's kind of just not good at Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, it's just disappointing. There used to be, you could find an interesting item at every single counter service place, but they seem to have dropped those interesting items in lieu of just having, I guess, just ease of producing the thing, so they don't have to have a lot of, extra ingredients for something unusual or different.
Does everybody just quickly want to tell what they ordered today and what they thought of it?
Yeah.
Sure. So I got the lobster roll. It was sort of a toasted hot dog bun, would you say? With lobster, probably some dressings, I don't know, and
I think it's mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise and lettuce on the inside, with a side of fries, of course. I think it's very good. I think it's a little standard. Like, I think I've had better lobster rolls places. Again, quality of food around here. But I think for theme park seafood,
Right.
it's not too bad.
Parker, what did you get?
I got the fish and chips. They're pretty good. I wish there was more fish though.
How would you say it compares to something like, I don't know, if you have it at a Long John Silver's, or if you had it at another sit-down place, you think it would be fair, on the same level, or better or worse?
I mean, I feel like if you go to like a sit-down restaurant, it's gonna be a lot better there.
Yeah.
Then this felt more like chicken tenders that had fish in them.
That's fair.
Well, I think that's a pretty apt comparison, the kind of quality.
Yeah. I had the vegetarian version of the lobster roll, which really just replaced the lobster with fried mushrooms. And I think everything else about it was the same. It was fine.
And that's most of the quick service food you get
It's
at Magic
just
Kingdom.
fine. Nothing spectacular.
I had the grilled salmon and rice. The salmon was dry,
Yeah.
but it tasted fine. It seemed like a good quality piece of fish, and the rice was unseasoned. So again, it was fine, but at least it wasn't a burger or a hot dog.
Yeah.
And it tasted fine.
That's kind of why we chose this place, because at least it's not burgers, hot dogs, or pizza, which is the bulk of what you can find around here these days.
That'll be what's for dinner tonight.
Cosmic rays, here we come.
Right. Taking one last ride on the riverboat before they gut the entire thing.
Yep.
Lightning McQueen gonna be right here.
Yeah. Man, this hurts.
So what are your thoughts about this, kid?
Well, I gotta say, normally I'm not one that gets too worked up about closed attractions or, closing a new area or changing it, but this one hurts.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it really just creates a sense of place here.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, I mean, the riverboat was a day one attraction in Disneyland. It was a day one attraction here. It's been such an iconic part of really this half of the park. I mean, it sets the place for Liberty Square, Frontierland. it's unique. I mean, people don't get to ride on riverboats.
And then removing Tom Sawyer Island. And then removing Tom Sawyer Island to boot.
Well, I mean, that is also sad, but for whatever reason, I'm not as sad about the loss of that as I am about the loss of this riverboat.
Right.
Not only is it a unique ride, but I think, like I said before, it also just really sets the place and time for Main Street, Liberty Square, and Frontierland.
Exactly. Okay, Zach, what do you think about gutting of Tom Sawyer Island and the rivers of America to make way for Cars Land?
It's just not the right place for it. I think what would make a lot more sense is if they put it behind Big Thunder, but I don't know. The issue with people getting bent out of shape about stuff like this, I've seen this cycle happen many, many times before, where someone will say, oh, I hate that Disney is replacing this thing or changing this thing. It's going to be awful. And then they open it and then it's always good. So I am sure that whatever will come out of this will be good. That the little Cars Miniland will be good. But they are doing, what they are changing is fundamentally changing the idea of this part of the park.
100%.
They are removing a lot of theming. They're removing an aesthetic. Frontierland is, like they said at D23, it's more of a state of mind. The idea of, exploration. What's out there? You've ever wondered what's beyond Big Thunder Mountain?
Well, I sure as heck never thought it was a bunch of cars.
So I think it will likely end up being good and fine and a great addition. The new ride's probably going to be great, but I don't know, man. It feels weird. It just doesn't feel right. A bunch of anthropomorphic cars in the middle of Frontierland. I don't know how they're going to make it look right or make it transition properly.
More than any other area of the park, I always felt like the riverboat and Tom Sawyer Island was really the only true sense of adventure and exploration. Adventure in exploration, I should say. I felt like the way that Tom Sawyer was not any kind of a guided area or a curated story or experience. It was something that kids could make what they wanted it to be and they could explore it on their own. There's just not a lot of other areas in the park that are like that.
I am Lieutenant Beck. As you heard from Ray, I've been tasked with getting you to Bakara.
All right now we are sitting in Docking Bay 7 in Galaxy's Edge in the city/town of Batu in Hollywood Studios, enjoying our lunch. What did you and I have, honey?
So we had the Batuan beef and crispy topado, which was essentially a slow-cooked beef with a really good tamarind barbecue sauce and crispy, I think it was yucca sticks and roasted vegetables.
I guess yucca is sort of a potato.
It is. It was kind of potato-like.
So what did the boys have? Hey, Zach, you want to tell us all about it?
I'm going to be a pedant here for a moment about Star Wars lore. Dad, this is not the city of Batu. That's the planet. We are at Black Spire Outpost.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. My ignorance is showing.
So Parker and I both had the Andorian tip yip. What is a tip yip, you may ask? It is an Andorian chicken. Yeah, I checked the Wikipedia just to see, and it was a really blurry image of a chicken. So we do have it confirmed that it is indeed chicken, and it came with some, I don't know, space macaroni and cheese.
So essentially it is sort of a big chicken tender that you cut into.
Chicken tender and mac and cheese, baby.
You can't go wrong with that. So we had something happen today at Hollywood Studios that has never happened before. We were on the Tower of Terror. It was getting ready for the main drop sequence. The door had just opened up. It hadn't lifted us yet.
We were on the precipice.
We were on the precipice, and the ride stopped. And we sat there for the longest time in the dark, and then the lights came on. Zach, you want to take it from there?
I mean, once the lights came on, I was pretty sure that that was going to be it, and they were going to come and get us.
Right.
But we sat there with the lights on, and then they kept like saying things over the speaker and playing little messages like, the ride's going to start up again, the ride's going to start up again.
And then they also said things like, you know, crew be prepared, which is, I assume that meant be prepared to evacuate the ride.
So then they eventually say, the ride's going to start immediately, and you're going to have a full drop cycle.
Right.
And we were like, oh, so we're doing this. Only the lights never went back off, and they didn't play the full audio after that point. So we experienced the rest of the Tower of Terror drops and all that, with limited audio and lights on.
And we discovered that doing the drop with the lights on is even worse than doing the drop with the lights off. It was very discombobulating.
Well, the doors opened for the elevator shaft, and it was like, what room are we being shipped off into? And I don't know, it was the lack of audio. So it was just, you know, the cranking of the gears in the tower, and then, you know, the people in the elevator shrieking.
Right. Well, and then there was the painted lightning bolt on the wall that was meant to be illuminated that was just sitting there. But the good news is, at the end of the ride, the doors opened and said, hey, would you guys like to ride again? And we said, of course we would like to ride again. And we got the full experience. At that point, we got the full experience as expected. Lights off, full drop sequence, all the sound effects. But it was just really neat to see the interior of the drop shaft is covered in mirrors. I never realized that before.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I wasn't sure what that was, what that exactly was about.
I guess that reflects light around us when they do the flashes, perhaps. I don't know. I have no idea, but that was really, really cool.
Welcome, people of Epcot. Epcoters. Epcotians. Citizens of Epcot. Does anyone know what they call themselves?
Okay, so today we spent most of the morning, well, all of the morning and most of the afternoon over at Epcot, and we're going to throw it to Zach, our honorary traffic reporter, to give us the crowd report.
Well, Dad, today's traffic report was a reported 8, crowd level of 8. I believe that was upgraded from what was predicted to be a 7. And when we came in on the monorail and did the little loop around Epcot, yeah, you could tell. It looked like an 8. Epcot was very, very crowded today. But despite that fact, I thought we did very well with accomplishing the things we wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, I thought we had a really good morning. We can talk quickly about some of our highs and lows of the morning. Would you like to go first, honey?
Well, a highlight for me is the fact that the Epcot Flower and Garden Festival is going on. Epcot usually has a lot of really nice flowers and plants anyway, but during the Flower and Garden Festival, it's amped up to 11. And there were some just really gorgeous floral displays, really neat topiaries, and I love looking at all of that stuff this time of year.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the highlight for sure is the Flower and Garden Festival. And I've got to say, of the festivals that I've been to, the Flower and Garden Festival is very slowly becoming my favorite festival. It used to be 100% food and wine, and that was back when it was just the Food and Wine Festival, so it was easy to make that distinction. But I really think my favorite festival now is the Flower and Garden, just because it looks so nice. I really think it looks great. What is your highlight of the day, Zach? Do you have one in particular, or are you just going to kind of agree with us?
I think I'm likely just to agree with you. I mean, nothing especially spectacular happened today while at Epcot. We just had fun, did the things we usually do. very, very standard Epcot experience, but a good one nonetheless. So I think I would have to agree. It's just nice to see what they do for the Flower and Garden Festival every year.
Yeah, we really haven't had a chance to enjoy much of the food booths yet because we focused our energy today on the front half of the park. We did take a stop at, what was the place called? It was called the
Brunch Cot.
The Brunch Cot. Yes, we did stop there, and Laura and I had a very good avocado toast. Parker, who is currently sawing some logs, he had an Impossible patty style sausage, biscuits, and gravy, which he really enjoyed. Zach, what did you have?
I had the Cinnabites. They've had them before. They are effectively, think of it like a pizza roll, but it's a cinnamon roll. So that kind of shape with like a cinnamon filling with some icing on it and little bits of candied bacon. It's very good.
Yeah, and I wanted to give our audience a quick update because we've been following them for quite some time. The new Manatees over at the Living Seas, now called The Seas with Nemo and Friends. Two of them were out in the main tank today. It was Cider, and one that I have been pronouncing Mino, I found out today was Minnow, even though it's spelled M-I-N-O. Minnow is 480 pounds. Both of these guys are orphans, and they're beginning the rehabilitation process. Minnow's biggest problem is he is underweight. So they've got to fatten that boy up before they can send him out into the waters of Florida. And Cider is apparently recovering from some sort of a serious infection. So apparently they have to get that tamped down. So to celebrate seeing them, in our show notes for this episode, we will have some photographs and video that I shot of Cider and Minnow for everybody to see.
Hello there. Welcome to our little trans-dimensional joyride, folks. I'm Dr. Secret, your friendly controller, and a heck of a paleontologist, if I do say so myself.
So here we are in what's left of Dino Land, finishing up our lunch at Restaurantosaurus before Dino Land becomes extinct. Huh? You see what I did there? I'll give the writing note to that one. That one came from Zach, not the crew back, our writing team back home. It didn't come from them. So we spent the morning in Animal Kingdom and have had a really good time. And we'll throw it to Zach here for a traffic report.
Thanks for throwing it over to me here, Mark. So yes, today's reported traffic level crowd level is a 7. Though I will say, I tend to take the Animal Kingdom crowd levels with a bit of a grain of salt, because a 7 at Animal Kingdom does not look like a 7 at other parks. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but it just felt like normal crowds here today. I feel like wait times have been a little lower than average, honestly. So I feel like if it is a 7, it's got to be a low 7. I don't know.
Well, I think it's because the way Animal Kingdom is laid out, the pathways are small and it's not as open, so you don't see all the people all the time.
Yeah, all of the lands in Animal Kingdom are kind of designed like a pocket, so people go into them, and you don't see, like you said, the main pathways are just not as crowded.
Right. So we got here super early, or as early as we could get here, to ride the safari first thing. You want to give us a safari report, hon?
I thought our ride on the safari was great. It was overcast, so we saw lots of animals and had very little wait since we got here just shortly after opening time.
Yeah, we had all kinds of animal activity. We got to see the lions, and we got to see the giraffes. We got to see the warthogs. They were out. We really didn't miss too many of the animals this go around.
I mean, as it tends to go on the safari, if you're lacking in one area, some other area picks up the slack. So
right.
The cheetah exhibit, or like the cheetah part of the ride, was being cleaned, so the cheetah was not out on display. But immediately after that, we saw the warthogs on full display. So,
and they're usually hiding in their little hidey holes.
Yeah, that is the I don't know, the luck I've tended to notice with Kilimanjaro safaris. If you're missing one one thing, it will be picked up somewhere else.
Yeah, when we first came upon the cheetah enclosure and I saw the guy there, and I'm like, boy, I hope those cheetahs aren't out. As we found out, they were not out. We also got to enjoy Dinosaur one last time.
We think.
Yeah,
we've been saying one last time for like 2 years now.
But Dino Land has always been Zach's precious. And he's been soaking it all in today here in Restaurantosaurus, looking at all the knickknacks on the wall. And I will report, I think that Dinosaur was fully operational. Nothing was wrong while we were riding it.
It was the best it's looked in a long time.
Yeah, well, and as we noted before, you and I, when we were talking, Dinosaur had recently gone through a bit of a refurb and they repaired everything. It was like a year ago. And now they have the walls up in Dino Land, and the Cementosaurus is gone. Chester and Hesto's Dinorama is gone. Their store is gone. But Dinosaur the Ride remains. So if you're going to get here, I believe we looked it up, or we were talking about it, and it's supposed to be here through 2025. So if you can get here before the end of 2025, I'm pretty sure you'll get one more crack at riding Dinosaur. Any other thoughts for today?
Just want to note that we're giving a final toast to Dino Land here.
Yes.
Mark is having his Animal Kingdom favorite Safari Amber. Zach and I visited the Restaurantosaurus Lounge. He is enjoying the Primordial Booze, and I am having Tequilasaurus.
So describe what a Primordial Booze actually is.
Primordial Booze is, well, Zach, I'll let you describe what was in it. I think it was vodka and blue
Curacao.
Thank you. Some sweet and sour and some Sprite.
Yeah, it was a kind of a sort of like a spiked lemonade, but with more of that, like, artificial blue flavor.
Right, whatever blue tastes like.
Yeah, artificial blue, one of my favorite flavors.
And before we close this little session out, we were very lucky to go on the Maharaja Jungle Trek, and we got to see little baby Bakso. We've been following the little tiger Bakso's journey for several episodes of Mickey, Marvel, and More. And so we are glad that during our boots on the ground spring break trip report, we can talk about seeing Baby Bakso. And as a bonus, there will be photos and videos of Baby Bakso in the show notes.
We got to see him practicing his stalking and pouncing.
That's right. I think he had found some sort of a bug. I think I have that on video of him pouncing on something. So we'll definitely put that in the show notes for everybody to see. Thanks so much for joining us for the first part of our two-part episodes dedicated to our Boots on the Ground Spring Break Trip Report. Be sure to check the show notes for links to all of our socials. And if you want to leave us a comment or a suggestion, or maybe the link to your Venmo account, send us an email at mickeymarvelandmore, all one word, @gmail.com. Be sure to tune in to the next episode for part 2 of our Boots on the Ground Spring Break Walt Disney World Trip Report. Until then, if you've enjoyed this episode, my name is Mark, and you've been listening to Mickey, Marvel, and More. If you didn't, come on, who am I kidding? Of course you did, because we're in Walt Disney World!